Christian for KaijuPop.com, and this is Road of Kings from Dancing Sorcerer Games. The designer of this one actually formerly of 38 Studios, or Kingdoms of Amalur fame. And as you might expect from someone who worked on Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, this is a game of the role-playing variety. Kind of, it sort of seeks to evoke old school tabletop RPGs specifically, and you'll see that kind of influence as we play. There's two modes, standard and classic. I've only ever played in standard. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. So, well, hey, why don't we go on to classic here? It's not exactly explained in the game. But the basic idea is you're sent out as a little wandering homeless barbarian, and as it says, you have 100 in-game days, 100 turns to collect 500 gold and return, or you can basically do whatever you want. There's all sorts of quests that kind of pop up at random, the idea being no game being the same kind of thing. So, right now, I guess I'm playing as Lucan Slickfingers. I can change it. I can be anyone I want. I can be anybody I want, or I can choose a random name. Magar Bloodcotter. Yeah, I'll be him. Okay. Let's go. Whoa, and we zoom in on a bunch of hexes. Ooh, this, one thing you have to get past is that this game isn't the best looking of things. It's functional, shall we say. But I think that's probably, you know, some of that's intentional to tie in with the tabletop RPG aspect. One thing I thought when I saw some screenshots and I saw a whole bunch of hexes on the screen, I thought, hooray, turn-based strategy. This isn't a turn-based strategy game. It is kind of straight up role-playing here. You always start on this island over there. Always start at the same point, but pretty much from there you can go wherever you want. The map's the same, so it's not a roguelike in that respect, but a lot of the events that you come across, they happen at random. So I can always move, you know, to adjacent hexes in one turn, and one turn takes one of your 100 days, and at the end of the day you have to eat. So if I've gathered rations, I can eat those, or I can just go hunting. I have to go hunting here, so then you're taking the risk. There's a dice roll, you might get more food, you might get less food. So yeah, as I said, it's tabletop RPG, pen and paper RPG without the pens and the papers, basically, clearing everything up. So let's march onward here. I think typically if you stay on the road, you know, it's follows those sort of RPG rules, sort of you're kind of safer on the roads, and there's, you know, risk reward involved with going through the mountains and the trees. If you go into the mountains, you can't hunt, for instance. So, you know, there's that kind of you know, effect. The terrain has some effect, and yeah, so sometimes you'll come across different people. Clavic Spearman is traveling towards you. What do you do? So you can either choose to negotiate, or you can choose to fight. So if you talk it out here, he kind of says, "Oh, I like you, but I'll only join you if you give me money. I don't have any money, so bugger off." Let's go hunting again. So, I mean, basically the focus here isn't on combat, so to speak, and that's a bit of a shame when for me it was a bit of a shame, because I first thought hex-based, turn-based strategy, and it wasn't quite what I expected. But what it is about exploration and, you know, coming across these different events as you go, and see early game here. So there's not too much going on, but the further I go out, the more shit will happen. Inevitably, we're through the first week and not much has gone on. So yeah, I've reached the first kind of place here. So dotted around the maps are different sort of specific places of interest, where there might be mini quests and things like that. You might come across characters who you know, ask for a favor, ask for a sub-quest to be completed, and that kind of will sort of test your allegiances in different areas. And then there are these ruins where You know, you can plumb into the depths of these to find out what's going on in these ruins. You might get some really nice stuff, or you might get quite handily killed. So there's some harpies going on here, but I think I didn't really have that much problem with harpies before, so I'm going to try and steal these guys, the metal from these things. Yay, so I got through safely there. So there is sort of random number generating and shit going on in the background, but it's kept well hidden from you. So for me, as someone who can't really get into sort of Dungeons and Dragons and things like that, it's kept neatly obscured. It is all entirely accessible. But yeah, I've been ambushed by a gargoyle, so I'm into combat. And yeah, as I said, this isn't strategic combat in any way. It is simply just, you know, straight up turn-based combat. There's no active time battling or anything going on like that. I can either choose to attack or I can choose to flee. As I get going, there might be more people added to my party, and there's a couple of different classes. There's a sorcerer, there's an archer, but there's not too much in the way of nuanced combat. In fact, I would say there's nothing in the way of nuanced combat. And again, that's kind of intentional to an extent. But yeah, it would be kind of more interesting if we had more stuff going on there combat-wise. But yeah, I've got a trophy there which I can sell off, so that will help me get to my 100 coin goal. And yeah, it's sometimes you will come across these random events like you just got lost. So I just got lost there and wasted a day because I had to eat food from my rations rather than hunt and get a stockpile. Of course, the more people I have in my party, that's another issue of resource management, because each person in my party needs one food. And sometimes I get to travel double the distance, so I'm going to head into town here. In fact, actually, before I do go into town, because I might come into trouble, I'm going to take a rest. And if you take a rest, you recover some health at the expense of, obviously, being able to move about. There is a time limit on the whole thing, as you saw at the beginning. You got 100 days to sort of finish the game, which hasn't happened to me yet. And granted, I've only played a couple of times, but both times I've died halfway through. So yeah, there's kind of some events here. This, as you come into town, you'll come across different sort of sub-quests. This didn't come up, this specific quest didn't happen last time I played, so there's some randomness going on in terms of what happens, and it is just purely text. You read it, it's kind of choose your own adventure stuff, or, you know, I mean, it is like a tabletop RPG is. So I could go to Gund and hand over the money, or I could fight the robbers instead. Or I could tell him to bugger off, basically. I'm not strong enough to fight these robbers, but I'm nice, so I'm gonna get the money. Let's say I'm not strong enough. There's no real leveling going on, as far as I can tell. You're not developing your guys. It's just a matter of, you know, I mean, your combat strength is determined by how many people are in your party. But I'm gonna sell off that 25 gold. That's quite handy. You can go into the tavern as well. And occasionally there'll be bar fights, and there's far too many brawlers. Oh, fuck you, brawler number 4. I'm gonna run away here. Oh dear. That didn't work. But clearly I'm not gonna come out of this. There we go. Run away. Run into the mountains. Chase off the birds. Ooh, a map to nearby treasure. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, so yeah, sometimes there are these nice little events here, and even though it's all done with text and these extremely sort of bare graphics, I don't know, it drives your curiosity, it pokes at your curiosity. Now you've got an X on that map, and now I've got an X on that map. I'm kind of intrigued to delve in and see what's there and grab that treasure. It reminds me to an extent of other sort of very bare bones RPGs. I played a lot of A Dark Room last year, and that was purely textural. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have glorious presentation to make people explore your worlds, as long as it's kind of well crafted and these little events are well designed and well written. I'm going to negotiate this guy. I could do with a crossbowman, so I'm going to pay him to join my party. And there you go. Let's head into the forest and see what we can see. Aesir, I hate Aesirs in this game. I hate them. Take that. Shoot him. So crossbowmen can do more damage with their bows, but also their crossbows need reloading at each turn. So there's a little bit of tactics involved with that, just not very much. Okay, sure. Oh no! Oh great, thanks. Rubbish. You've got a map in front of you. Okay, locate the boar-shaped stump. Let's go into it. And oh great, all of that for 6 gold. How incredibly anticlimactic. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that actually works really well on iPhone. I think it's in particular, I would say, even more than the iPad. I'm not going to bother with him because it's not a great looker. It is just, you can pour at the screen. There's not much. It doesn't take much on the way of your attention, but it kind of provokes your imagination for a brief period of time. And there's some nice, interesting, involved sort of story threads that happen. And Aesir, bloody Aesirs. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I'm not too delicate for fighting. Yeah, it's hardly particularly involved, but I like little sort of quest lines like the one we just saw, and there's kind of a, nothing's explicitly spelled out to you. It's all kind of left up to you to. I've lost my crossbowman. Dear. I know, it's only an Aesir boy. I should be able to crap out of him. Yeah, get him. Get him. Ah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's all incredibly simple, but, things are crafted quite well. Sometimes there's sort of challenges to your internal moral code, but it's not like the game says, oh, hey, +3 morality for, warning this guy of an evil lord's attack. It's more just, hey, you make your choices, you live with your choices. That kind of affects what happens later on. But there's nothing that's explicitly spelled out to you. It's all about it's all left for you to explore, which which I like and I appreciate that. Let's rest there. Go hunting again. So I need to, I think, probably get my health back up. Okay, and yeah, then I was told earlier on to head over to Gund, so let's do that, I suppose. I think one thing that that is a little bit off in terms of what it doesn't tell you and what the game is left up to you to do. There's no quest log as far as I can tell, so you'll be told to do stuff, but you know, it's up to you to remember that. And granted, okay, so I think we'll let them go because this wasn't a fight I should have gotten into in the first place. Yeah, it's left up to you to remember that I'm supposed to request aid from Gun to, you know, to help out these other people. And yeah, I mean, the games are short. I've been playing, what, 10 minutes in this video, and I'm already up to day 37, so I'm a third of the way through the game. It's not like there's a lot to keep in your head for hours at a time. But if you are playing for 5 minutes and then you put your phone down and then you pick it up later, I would probably forget what was going on, especially when, you know, everything's sort of focused on remembering these sort of fantastical names of going to the Temple of Yer and that sort of thing. Let's go to the church, I suppose. Okay. That doesn't work. Oh well, okay. I'm fucked. I only had one choice there. Great. I'm hunting the legendary lizard Azul. A swamp near here. Okay. The lizard will die. Yeah, that's not near. It's miles away. Sometimes it will put an X on your map, sometimes it won't, you know, so, I mean, there's that kind of thing. It's not quite incredibly consistent, you know, or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly not without its flaws, is Road of Kings. It's obviously really incredibly visually limited, so, I mean, if you're into, you know, games on my iPhone need to be fancy and swish, then this isn't for you. And it's not the most involved. It would be nice to, you know, do more in terms of the combat, and, you know, I had visions of sending units different places along these hexes and that kind of thing. But for what it is, it's pretty entertaining, I think. These little quest lines are well written. There is this sense of heading out on a grand journey, and it's nice that you're left to your own devices and finding your own path, and that things aren't, you know, over sort of encumbered with hit points and, you know, and numbers popping everywhere, and, as I said, positive and negative morality and things like that. It is just up to you. I can see a group of people threatening a young lad here. Could either defend him from the bullies, or you know, say this guy's a thief and I'm gonna apprehend the boy, or I could just sit and watch. I'm gonna jump in, and I get the little reward of, well, if I win this fight, he doesn't look like a young lad. If I win this fight, he joins my party. But, you know, I mean, apart from that, it's up to me to decide what to do, and that's cool. Yeah, as I said, this young lad, this mere strapling, is a big guy with a sword, and there's like about 2 or 3 of these 2D character models to look at. I think the most funny part was in my last game I was playing with, you know, I got to a sort of gladiatorial arena, and the sort of text box spoke of this mystical masked warrior, and then when you actually got into combat, he was just the same guy without a mask and just a dude. Yeah, so there is plenty of stuff to get around, and I think plenty of stuff that they're already tweaking. There's going to be an update fairly soon to sort of expand what's happening in terms of combat possibilities and give you more explanations of what's going on. But it's an interesting game, and I think probably if you've been watching this video, you have a strong idea of whether it's for you or whether it's not. And it's obviously not going to be for everybody. I'm not even sure whether it's for me per se, but yeah, I do kind of like the idea of of being able to move around at will and have the freedom of motion, and yet have a time limit on top of things so it doesn't get too bloated and overburdened and bewildering. So yeah, it's fairly interesting. If you think it is for you, it's on the App Store now for about $3, I think. It's called Road of Kings. It's alright, you might like it. I don't know, try it. Chris Charlton for KaijuPod.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.